What's good, y'all? So today we are filming a reaction video. I'm still sick, by the way, but we're gonna be watching comparison to the most painful deaths at theme parks.
Joshua Smurfett, 12 years old, wanted to experience freefall, and he learned what it really meant. The boy went on the extreme ride Drop Zone and, at a height of 30 meters, suddenly slipped out of his seat, plummeting headfirst. Joshua's mother saw her son hit the concrete ride platform with tremendous force. It was a horrific tragedy, but at least he didn't suffer if you believe the pain scale based on scientific research.
Well, does my mic sound like that? Why does mic sound like that?
Falling from a height leading to instant death scores just 3 points. Meanwhile, the highest mark is 140. So
Dang,
how much pain can a place meant for fun really cause?
I don't
Viewer
know.
discretion is advised. I don't know about you, but for me, the most terrifying amusement ride has always been the swing ride. It gives me chills just watching it spin. You'll get 10% off your order. Just follow the link in the description below this video.
Oh,
And
it's a
now, let me
sponsor.
tell
Never
you
mind.
some of the creepiest stories from amusement parks. June 9th, 1991, in the history of Kings Island Amusement Park in Ohio, is known as Black
Kings
Sunday.
Island.
Around 9 p.m., friends Timothy Benning and William Haithcote were strolling through the park's garden by the fountain pond. It was a hot evening, so Timothy decided to splash his friend with some water. As soon as he touched the water, his body stiffened, and he collapsed in the shallow end. Not understanding.
What the? Is there electricity in the water? I bet you there's electricity in the water. And why would you even touch the water?
What happened, William rushed to help his friend, but immediately fell into the water as well.
Yeah, there
Minutes
has to be
later,
electricity.
Kings Island employee Daryl Robertson noticed the two visitors strangely floating in the pond. As soon as he tried
That would probably be so creepy. You're going over, and then you just see two bodies in the water.
them stepping into the water, he was struck by a powerful electric
I
shock.
knew it.
It turned out that a cable powering the fountain pumps was damaged, turning the entire pond into a massive electric trap. Timothy Benning, who fell in first, survived, but Haithcote and Robertson, who rushed to help, died. On the pain scale, death by electric shock scores 36 points. Tough day,
Mm.
but it turned into a nightmare. The high schoolers were having a blast all day celebrating their upcoming graduation. When the administration announced it was time to head back to the buses, dozens of students rushed to the Bonsai Pipeline, a 23-meter-long winding slide with multiple tracks. A lifeguard shouted at them, saying they couldn't all go up at once for safety reasons. At least 33 of
Why would y'all all go up at once
them
anyway?
tried to slide down together, and the
Why would you try to slide down together? Huh? Why would you slide down together? 33 people. And you're going down a slide. You're gonna get jammed and somebody's gonna die, bro.
slide collapsed, sending the students
Yo, somebody fix that slide, bro.
fell from a height of over 20 meters. 6 students suffered
Real
severe
footage.
injuries,
Wow.
but that wasn't the worst news. Amid the chaos and screams after the tragedy, one detail stood out: a girl lying in a pool of blood. Her chest was
Oh,
practically crushed
snap.
from the impact, and she died just 45 minutes later. I guess during that time, the poor girl felt agony no less than a gunshot to the chest.
Is a gunshot actually worse than getting electrocuted?
Points on the pain scale. On another continent, on October 25th, 2016, a different water ride brought even more agony to its visitors. That day, Kate Goodchild, along with her partner, Ruzi, and brother Luke, took her daughter to the popular Australian amusement park, Dreamworld. Around 2:20 p.m., they all went on the family ride, Thunder River Rapids. This ride is essentially an artificial river where rafts with visitors move along, surrounded by exciting scenery. The top speed on this ride is 45 kilometers per hour.
28 miles per hour? Bro, that's normally that thing be going like 5 miles per hour, bro.
Our ride lasts less than 4 minutes. Kate Goodchild's family, along with another woman and her son, who were in the same raft, were about to finish this short, fun journey when they saw an obstacle ahead. Another empty raft had gotten stuck at the end of the ride, blocking the path. It seemed like nothing bad would happen until Kate and the other woman threw their children out of the raft seconds before it collided with the other one and flipped over. 4 adult passengers were hurt in the collision, but were alive when they fell into the water beneath the Thunder River tracks. Park staff immediately called rescuers, stopped the ride, and started draining the water. While they were trying to drain out the artificial river, the 2 children screamed hysterically, watching their mothers slowly die.
How are they dying though?
They could only confirm their
Are
deaths,
they stuck underneath? Because if they're stuck underneath, then I get how they're dying, but
scoring 57 points on the pain scale. But if drowning isn't even halfway up the scale, what the heck is worse? On
I,
January 3rd, 1984, 48-year-old Dolly Young and her 5 friends visited California's Disneyland. Of course, they didn't miss the
California.
Matterhorn bobsleds, a legendary ride of that time. Around 3:30 p.m., all 6 friends took their seats in the bobsleds. Young sat alone. The bobsled sped down 2 tracks that ran parallel for most of the ride. But just a few minutes into the journey, Young, for some unknown reason, couldn't hold on and fell onto the tracks. People riding the parallel
Ooh,
tracks
that landing spot? Bro, you just fall onto the tracks? I would rather fall into the rocks than the tracks, bro. There's gonna be another car and it runs her over, bro.
saw the frightened woman trying to stand up when the unthinkable happened. Another bobsled came around the corner. The family inside thought there was a dummy on the tracks, yet seconds later, the father screamed at his daughters to close their eyes as their sled ran over Dolly Young. The bobsled got stuck on top of her body, and only then did a special system alert the operator that something had gone terribly wrong. The worker stopped the ride, and when he came to check, he saw a horrifying scene. The bobsled wheels had run over the woman's body, decapitating her. Young,
Decapitating her? Oh wait, that makes sense. Oh my god.
far worse on this scale, just as in the history of amusement parks. On September 22nd, 2000, 6-year-old Nicholas and
For real, that wasn't even that long ago. 2000? That was not long at all.
4-year-old Brandon Zucker were the happiest kids in the world because their family was at Disneyland. For the younger boy, a huge Disney fan, it was the best day of his life.
Look at that costume, bro.
Entire day having fun in the park, and after 10 p.m., they decided to go on the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin one last time. These were individual yellow taxis designed for 2 passengers that zoomed through the tunnels with vibrant decorations, spinning 360 degrees. But the Zucker brothers
If he was gonna say 360 miles per hour, I was gonna be like, oh, heck nah.
didn't want to be separated, so they both sat in the taxi with their mother, while their father and grandmother took the seats in the cab behind them. The kids enjoyed the ride for just a few minutes before disaster struck. When their mother leaned over to pick something up from the bottom of the taxi, Brandon fell out of the cab. Seconds later, his father saw his 4-year-old son pulled under the taxi's wheels. The man immediately
Under the wheels? Bro, that's just unlucky, bro.
rushed to help, yet he couldn't stop the ride or lift the car. It kept moving forward, dragging Brandon for about 3 meters
Oh, his legs got caught. I thought his whole body was under the wheels. It's like getting sucked up, bro.
before stopping. His family was in shock, but his father managed to call for help. Although Disneyland claimed the ride operators responded immediately, it was actually park visitors who rushed to
Oh my gosh, it's so bad too because you're dying on a kid's ride, bro.
help them from entering the tunnel. Fortunately, police and firefighters arrived quickly and used a jack to free the boy, though he wasn't breathing. Rescuers performed CPR until paramedics took over. Miraculously, doctors managed to restore Brandon's pulse, though he had experienced clinical death, couldn't breathe on his own, and his body started turning blue from lack of oxygen. Brandon went through an ordeal similar to being buried alive, where the body
Oh, so he wasn't dead?
desperately needs air but can't inhale due to immense pressure on the chest. Being buried alive scores 90 points on the pain scale. Still, Brandon's suffering didn't end there. He sustained irreversible brain damage and can no longer walk or talk. Despite his and his family's efforts, Brandon passed away at age 13.
Bro, that's so sad, bro. I mean, all of these are so sad, but like, when a kid's right. Wait, that was 9 years after?
On July 8, 1974, Debbie Stone, a college student, was incredibly happy as she headed to work, planning to get engaged. She worked as a hostess on the new popular show America Sings at Disneyland. This show featured individual musical numbers performed on
Bro, this is like some good short film stuff, bro. All those shows and stuff.
rotating stages. To change scenes, the walls on the left side moved toward each other and closed, separating one stage from another. 6 such stages rotated in turn, with the hostess greeting the audience at the start of the show and bidding them farewell at the end. That evening, Debbie Stone had this role. Around 10:30 p.m., as the previous show was ending and the stages were changing positions, a visitor heard a chilling scream. It was clear this wasn't part of the show, so ride operators rushed to the theater and saw a horrifying scene. Debbie Stone had been crushed between the walls of 2 stages. I think after such a tragedy, most bones in the body would be broken and internal organs damaged. On the pain scale, this would be almost identical to being caught alive in a meat grinder, scoring 96 points. We're almost at the last maximum point on this scale, but there are still 2 terrifying stops along the way I want to tell you about. The star attraction of Luna Park, Sydney in the 1970s was the Ghost Train. There was always a massive line for it. So it's no surprise that brothers Craig and Damian Godson decided to use their last tickets on this ride late in the evening. On June 9, 1979, when the line was almost gone, their dad, John, joined them while their mom,
6 or 8 years ago.
opted to grab some ice cream and wait for them at the exit. Little did she know, this decision would be fateful. Around 35 passengers boarded the Ghost Train that night. They all set off into dark tunnels, filled with eerie decorations and special effects. That day, the smell of smoke and a creepily realistic fire in the fireplace added to the atmosphere. 4 13-year-olds were especially thrilled by the scares. Unlike their 12-year-old friend, Jason, the ride operator pulled Jason out of the car just before it entered the tunnel. The kid protested, but a moment
Did he save him?
later realized he'd been saved from a real-life nightmare. Right then, black clouds of smoke appeared at both ends of the tunnel. At first, the riders thought the smoke was part of the special effects, as was the small fire from the blaze. When they realized what was happening, they started jumping out of the cars and running. By around 10:30 p.m., the ride was completely engulfed in flames. Jenny Godson, wringing her hands, hoped to see her husband and sons escape the trap. Jason Holman stood nearby, looking out for his friends. Unfortunately, they all got lost in the dark tunnels meant to scare them and burned alive. On the pain scale, death by fire rates about 101 points. But you know what I'm going to say next. Theme park visitors have endured events more painful than any mentioned so far. Teenager Caitlin Lassiter spent a hot June day in 2007 at the Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom with her friends. There, they had a ride similar to the one Joshua Smurfat fell from, which I mentioned at the beginning. Superman, Tower of Power, stood 54 meters tall and reached speeds of 67 kilometers per hour. The
If I go to the comments of this video, people type in 6'7", bro, it is 2026. And if I see people comment 6'7",
essence was the same, lifting people in seats up and then dropping them down, braking just before hitting the ground. Caitlin and her friend enjoyed their first ride on Superman, Tower of Power, and surprisingly, decided to go again since there was no line. However, the second ride turned into a
go.
catastrophe. As the seats rose just 6 meters, A terrible noise and sound, like a whip crack, was heard near the ride. In the next second, a cable fell on the girls, wrapping around Caitlin's torso and neck. The teens screamed, yet the seats kept rising. Only when smoke appeared near the tower and the air filled with the acrid smell of burning did people around panic. It took the operator 10 more seconds to hit the emergency stop button, but it was too late.
10 more
The seats with
seconds.
passengers plummeted downward. Caitlin managed to remove the cable from her neck and torso. Still, it wrapped around her legs, and within seconds, it severed both her feet above the ankles. Doctors miraculously saved not just the girl, but also her right leg. Despite this, she effectively endured the traumatic amputation of both legs, scoring 110 points on the pain scale. But if losing both limbs and even your head isn't the worst on this scale, what hits
He lost her legs, bro.
a record 140 points? Unfortunately, this was felt firsthand by an 11-year-old girl. On March 7, 2016, Elizabeth Gilreath visited
Bro, that was 10 years ago. Whoa, no, 9 still, but it's 2026, so it was about to be 10
a
years ago.
festival in Omaha, Nebraska with her family. Of course, the rides were what fascinated her the most.
Bro, I was
Among
still
them
2
was the
years old.
centrifuge ride called Royal Crown, which Elizabeth eagerly rode with other kids. Soon, the fun turned into a nightmare. Elizabeth slipped from her seat, and her long hair got caught in the ride's mechanism. These torturous moments lasted for several minutes until Elizabeth fell to the floor of the centrifuge. A bystander rushed to help, but first had to stop the ride with her bare hands, as it kept spinning even after being turned off. When she reached Elizabeth, she realized the girl had been scalped. Skinning alive is considered one of the most horrific forms of torture, scoring a record-breaking 140 on the pain scale. I'll add here that Elizabeth survived, and doctors managed to
Yeah, she
partially save
survived.
the
Let's
skin on her
go.
head. Now, she's learning to embrace her new self. I wish none of these disasters had happened.
Oh my gosh. I hope y'all enjoyed that video. That was terrible. See you in the next episode. That's all I gotta say. Bye.